Hey everybody, I'm Daniel. I am here with Liria. So Liria is an Austin-based sound healer. So we met, when did we meet? Maybe like almost a year ago, yeah. So she's actually become one of my best friends here in Austin. And we've both sort of gone down the same tracks in terms of like the healing work that we do, and especially working with plant medicines. I've been to some of your events where she does a lot of sound healing, and it's very therapeutic, definitely releases a lot of energy. So yeah, I'm thinking we should just talk about this a little bit, and the different healing modalities and what has really worked for you and worked for me on our paths to just understand ourselves and really heal sort of our past trauma, our wounds, and different things that we've experienced in life. So yeah, first off, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. This is Charlie, who hopefully will lay down. We'll see.
Forgot to introduce this guy. So.
I'm doing really well. I am a little bit tired. We had the ice storm in Texas this week, so didn't have power for 5 days. So kind of just get my bearings back around that. But yeah, otherwise doing really well. I did just sit with ayahuasca again this past weekend. As a sound healer for the second time. So it was my third ceremony. So just integrating a lot of those profound lessons, which I'm really grateful for the teachings this time. It was very calm compared to the other ceremonies. So yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. So getting ready to leave to Ecuador in about 2 days. Not even, like almost 24 hours from now. So that's definitely.
What are you going to be doing in Ecuador, or why are you moving there?
So I'm moving there to work with plant medicine. So same sort of thing. So to get more involved with ayahuasca in particular. But we also work with San Pedro. I believe they also do some work with Cambo over there. So different plant medicines, different healing modalities, and things like that. So yeah, like you said, when you did this, first I want to touch a little bit on what led you down the route of sort of seeking out ayahuasca. So what is your relationship with plant medicines, and how did you come about going down this route, just say opposed to conventional sort of therapy or medicine that most people go down? Because most people just think, oh, I'll just take a pill for something, or I'll just go to a therapist and talk about my problems for a little bit. Not too many people seek the route of ayahuasca and plant medicines, because it is quite it is the warrior's path. It's like taking a sledgehammer to all that black icky stuff inside your chest. And it's definitely like not a pleasant experience, but many people, including myself, go through these huge transformative experiences under it. So first of all, what have your experiences been like, and what led you to seek out this medicine in the first place?
Yeah, so I never experimented with any psychedelics until my dad was about to die. And he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And I really wanted to be able to come to terms with that in a way. And people had asked me, in college and those sorts of things, like if I wanted to do mushrooms. And I never said yes to any psychedelics because I did not want to try them in a party setting. I wanted it to be in a ceremonial type of healing way. So I waited until about 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago to do mushrooms for the first time. Went camping with some friends. I really wanted to be like in nature. And my goal was just to come to terms with my dad going to be dying. I didn't know how soon it was going to be. I think he ended up passing like 6 months later. And it was really, really healing. And kind of the main thing that happened is just I just felt so connected to the nature. And I was also just shown like, the friends around me there who wanted to just like party and be like, oh yeah, it's a vibe and like all this stuff. And I really wanted to like connect with people on a deeper level. And I was realizing that I had this, desire to deeply connect. And also, I was able to be at peace with it in a way, knowing that basically the message I got was like, whether it's 6 months or 6 years, it's going to happen. And you need to just try to come to terms with it. So it really, really helped me to prepare in a way. And then I took a long break for a while. I think I did another ceremony before he passed. It was like, he had like maybe weeks to live. It was right before I went home to Pittsburgh to basically say goodbye. And again, it really helped prepare me in a way. So really just feeling the grief and having a higher perspective. And then after he passed, it was a few ceremonies that I did that were also very instrumental in the healing process and being able to connect with him and going through shadow work. Like it really brought up a lot of stuff. And then ayahuasca, it's so funny because you always hear that the medicine will like call you, right? So I did not plan on doing that anytime soon. Anytime soon, it wasn't like on the schedule. I was thinking that maybe in a few years I would do it. And then actually a person I know in Austin, David Joseph, who's amazing and runs Magical, reached out to me like 2 weeks before a ceremony. He was like, hey, our sound healer backed out last minute. Like, is there any chance you're available? I had never even like met him before, but we had kind of been connecting. And I was like, I mean, yeah, like a free ayahuasca ceremony. Like, I guess it's time to do this. And, you know, I wasn't hired as a sound healer necessarily, but if I could play, I was able, like, if I was able to do both, because you have to play on the medicine as well. So I was like, okay, I think this is a sign, like I should do this, because it was like highly discounted. He reached out to me and I ended up sitting with the medicine and I was just ready to rip the Band-Aid off. To be honest, I had been doing inner work for about 2 or 3 years and gotten to a point where I had used all the tools. I had worked with people. I had done healing sessions. I did a lot. And there was like no extra step, you know, no like next step other than that deep, deep work. And as a healer myself, I knew that eventually I was going to have to do it. And I was like, okay, I guess it's the time. So that first ceremony was last March, and it was intense. We'll talk like more about that. But basically, yeah, with my dad passing, with all that kind of stuff, it led me, you know, on this healing journey. I was a professional flutist, classically trained, going to play in an orchestra for my whole life. And then when he died, I actually was in a meditation and received a message. I was supposed to be a sound healer because I was starting to be more spiritual, but also had the music gifts. And I was like, how do I do both? And then I received that very clear message, like, you're supposed to be a sound healer. And I bought a Native American flute that day, and then started combining my classical training with like improvising for the first time on the Native American flute. I started doing events around Austin and helping with some spiritual communities, and then was receiving a lot of Reiki at the time. And then I decided that I was also going to learn Reiki, and then I started combining it, and then have sat with ayahuasca 2 more times as a sound healer. So it's really been, it's very, very intense, deep work, but that's kind of like the path that showed up for me. And I kind of just followed when it came up, and they invited me again. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this again. And then they invited me again. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I'm just going to follow what is here. And it was definitely meant to happen and for a reason.
Yep. Yeah. And here you are, and you'll get invited again and again and again, and 2 years down the track, you'll be a shaman.
We'll see if I'll go back. We'll see if I go back.
Yeah.
It's enough for now.
For sure.
I'm ready for a break. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely gets that way after some of those ceremonies.
Yeah.
When you have like some big experiences, it flushes a lot out. You're just like, I never want to touch this stuff again.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, a couple months down the track, you're like, I'm ready. You forget everything.
We'll see.
You go back into that space and you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's definitely interesting, like sort of merging or incorporating all these different healing modalities that you've done. So you said doing some Reiki, doing sound healing.
Reiki.
And Reiki?
How you gonna Reiki?
Reiki.
It's just your accent. It's funny.
Yeah. No, actually I said that wrong. But yeah, so Reiki, sound healing. So you do like sound baths and stuff in Austin. Then also now working with plant medicine, so ayahuasca. So let's talk about a little bit about what you do within these ayahuasca ceremonies. So are you mostly just sound healing, or like how does it work? So can you lead us a little bit through like what you experience, so the energies that you experience, and how you actually like, how do you help people? What do you go through when you're sort of doing this stuff? What do people experience?
That's a lot. Well, first, maybe to give me a break talking, I would love to hear it, because I actually don't know how you got into the medicine. If you want to share like your kind of healing path, because I don't know. I'd be interested.
Yeah, absolutely. So my journey to the medicine. So like when I was younger, I was pretty depressed. I was on the brink of suicide. I had a lot of issues. And I was really stuck in a place in life where I didn't know what to do. So what I did is I started experimenting with psychedelics and really pushing it. So I started getting deeper and deeper and deeper into that. And sort of, I started having these breakthroughs. So I tried a lot of different things, but nothing seemed to work. And I was getting almost desperate. And psychedelics were really the only thing that actually sort of put me out of that state of like suffering, and really just like changed my mind and my perception and made me realize all these different fundamental truths. So I started to realize how powerful just psychedelics are in general, because perhaps the first few times I used them recreationally, then I realized that they're way more than that. And I started, like, right off the bat, I started having some pretty intense experiences, just through LSD, magic mushrooms, things like that. And yeah, I decided to take like a big trip one time and like meditated and sort of ended up having an ego death experience. So I passed out.
I forgot about that. I do know that story.
Yeah, but that was absolutely
wild.
life-changing. So it induced a Kundalini awakening. I passed out. I thought I died. Then sort of I was gone, just went through all these visions and all these different things. Like I didn't really exist during that state. But either way, eventually I came back to my body and never saw depression again, never saw anxiety again. Of course, like the healing road's still a long journey. It's not like it just erased everything, but it really like quantum leaped my whole reality.
I wish we could get this in the video. My dog and my cat. Charlie.
For sure.
Hello.
But yeah, so I started, I realized the potential of sort of these plant medicines and psychedelics and what they do. And that led me to start traveling the world because I decided, like, why not? Like, it finally actually activated a part of myself where I said, why don't I actually just travel the world and do things that I've wanted to do that I haven't been doing my whole life? What actually prevents me from doing this? So yeah, definitely had some insight there. And I started traveling around Latin America. So I spent 1 year in South America. That's where I really started to delve into ayahuasca, San Pedro, and do different ceremonies in Peru and Ecuador. And I revisited that a few months later in Mexico as well. And then, yeah, pretty much I have been on that path for quite a while to really get deeper into these medicines, especially understanding these energies and working with these energies, because it almost is a learning curve. The more you start understanding what is actually happening here, it's like it's so much more than what we typically think it is. It's not just some drug that's altering your mind. Like this is some form of consciousness that we're connecting to. We're connecting to the Gaia, we're connecting to the cosmos, and all these different things. There are spirits and things out there. So ultimately, like, I'm just super curious, and I saw the healing potential of these. And you know, you see so many people in life going down that path and that direction, where they do just turn to pharmaceuticals and take more pills and drink alcohol and smoke weed, and it's just a band-aid fix again and again. Like it never ends, and there's always something that they're doing to prevent themselves from actually looking into themselves.
Well, it's adding layers of resistance to the.
It is. It's just masking. Like it's just covering it up. So ayahuasca, I saw as an approach where it's sort of the opposite. You can't escape yourself when you're going through an ayahuasca experience. You have to face the shit that you're bottling up inside yourself. And of course, a lot of healing comes through that because you're forced to flush it out. You're forced to purge it. So yeah, like as mentioned earlier, in a couple of days, I'm going back to Latin America to Ecuador to really spend some time with these medicines and learn more about them and sort of,
So what are you going to be doing there again? Like, I know you're going to learn from the shamans, you're living there, you're helping with the ceremonies. Like, do you know in what way you're going to help? Kind of what you were going to ask me. Yeah.
So for the first 3 months, I'll be volunteering there. So it's helping out with the ceremonies, so setting up the space, tending the fire, helping with the guests. So just say if people are purging things, just like helping them through their experiences, and making sure everything goes smooth. It will incorporate some sound healing and things like that.
Yeah, you just got your didgeridoo.
Yeah,
it sounds good already. It's impressive.
Yeah, I'm practicing.
Especially the circular breathing. Like I don't do that on the flute.
Yeah, well,
it's hard.
You don't need to do it on the flute.
It's true. It's true.
But so definitely practicing that. So and also other things. So I'm sure like cleaning up around the place and just like organizing all the guests and things like that. Awesome. Then I will be returning in a couple of months because the place closes down to actually work there. So I'll be taking on more of a leadership role. Working in the ceremony spaces and just really helping organize the business essentially. And sort of again deep with that, building a deeper relationship with these medicines and learning more about how I can use or work with these medicines to help people throughout the healing processes. It's definitely going to be interesting. I'm definitely going to build a pretty deep connection with these medicines and really just commit everything I have to it because I will be living there. So it's not like I'm I need to work or focus on other things, like I'm going to be in that space continuously.
Sure.
With lots of people coming in and just working with them through their problems and their issues and things like that. But yeah, like we'll see how it goes. You never really know with plant medicines. But,
yep.
Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. Yeah. How many ceremonies have you done? Have you sat in?
7. So ayahuasca,
Like 7 nights or 7 different like retreats?
7 different retreats.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I've done 3, so maybe 5 nights total. Or 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. And also work with like San Pedro, ceremonies,
I haven't done that one.
Temazcals, which are
okay.
Have you done a Temazcal?
I haven't. I've done Cambo. That's about it. It's like the only other like DMT, but not no other like big medicines like that. And I think I'm okay with that for now.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of healing from ayahuasca. I've been really grateful for that medicine because she went deep with me. The first ceremony, I think I told you, I threw up almost the whole time. Like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Almost the entire time.
That's tough.
And I know why. So my intention, because it was only one night, right? My intention was a little bit extreme, but that's just how I am. I want to just like rip the Band-Aid off. So my intention was, and you know how seriously she takes this, was release everything that's keeping me from being free. Release every thought, person, place, thing, trauma, belief. Bring it all up. Bring all the shadows up. She did. So yeah, I was sick the whole ceremony. The entire ceremony, even after the ceremony was over, I was still sick. And then my whole life flipped upside down, and like all of my deepest fears happened in real life.
Okay.
Yeah. So the purpose was those were still under the surface. I didn't know any of the dynamics of my family, the truth with that. So all of my deepest, darkest fears basically happened like for real in my life, like a true dark night of the soul. To be able to heal all of it and release it and see, oh, this is from this. I never saw this. Thank you for showing me. Obviously, it was awful, but it was also necessary for my soul's growth, especially as a healer, to experience that, because now I've been able to help so many more people. And then the second ceremony, I waited a long time because I just like went through so much stuff for like 8 months. The second ceremony for me was a lot more mild. I think I just had one purge each night. It was mostly sound healing. That ceremony showed me how powerful the medicine was. Not just for me, but for everyone there. Like there was one girl at the ceremony who had like multiple just like tics and like neurological things going on, and had like tons of trauma. And by the second night, like fully healed. Like I've never seen magic like that, like in person. And I knew the medicine was powerful, but I never saw someone actually get healed, like in the physical, like after the second night, completely different person. Like I mean, I can't explain it, right? So I saw some of the biggest healing that, like, I literally didn't know that was possible from that medicine. So after that second ceremony, I was a full believer in all of it. And I was like, let's go. Like this is magic. And then this recent ceremony was very similar, but you asked like what I experienced. Yeah, I mean, it's so new for me, but it's also not, because like we've done it for like lifetimes. So for me, yeah, it's intense. I remember the first ceremony, I was freaking out because someone was having like an exorcism, and I didn't know that was like a thing that happened. So I was like panic attack, like all my fear around the like spirits and all that kind of stuff came up. Like I thought this was like a rare thing. Like I didn't know. I didn't really understand. So then by the second ceremony, I was like, oh yeah, it's just like another one. And it was weird. Like in the second ceremony, like I had like all these past life memories come up about like playing with the other musicians, working with the shamans, being a shaman in past lives, like all of it. Just like, I was like, I've done this before. Like I literally remember doing this. So it was like I knew what to do and how to support in a way that I can't explain how, So just like intuitively, I just knew how to kind of help people like release stuff faster, hold space for them when they were going through it, and just knew what music to play. Like I would just like pick up my flute and play like classical music from 15 years ago that I didn't know I remembered. And just like what it also showed me, which was so freaking cool, was how powerful the flute is, and like why my soul chose the flute again, because the flute can be very relaxing and beautiful and pretty. It can also be really annoying. So what that does, those high notes, the frequency actually gets the the darker energy to leave faster because it's literally frequency, right? It's a high frequency. So I just knew, like, there's no rational way that my mind knew to do that. Like, my soul did that. And like, I would play like these really high loud notes on the flute and it would help release the energy. And I was like, this is why I picked the flute. Like, wow, that is so cool. So the second ceremony was just like beautiful. And I was like playing, you know, this music. I was like, this is why I'm here. Like, I've done this forever, you know? And then this past ceremony this weekend, it was really intense. It was very intense. It was the most difficult experience like of my life as a healer.
Could you go a little bit, if you want, into your experience and like, so you say as intense in what way particularly, besides like purging, so getting rid of energies, we all know that's a difficult experience.
So I was barely purging. It was mostly everyone else and having to hold that space because it just got a little bit intense for everyone. It was almost like we needed more help in a way. So I didn't feel super like confident that like I knew what to do, right? So it was just like, I don't know. I don't want to get too into detail about like the specifics of the ceremony, but you asked like what I help with. So the music is one thing. So if I'm feeling like, and this is, you know, I'm still learning so much, like even just this weekend I learned a lot. You have to like really intuitively listen to Mother Ayahuasca, who might be like, I might want to play the flute, but it's like, no, the ceremony needs the handpan right now. And they either it needs like an intense, like really annoying handpan to help release the energy, or it needs like really relaxing because people have just purged and like need some like joy. And then sometimes I'd be playing like really intense stuff on the flute. And sometimes I'd be like skipping around with the flute and like, la, 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 and like doing light language and things like that to help move the energy. So those are the ways that I was able to help assist. But yeah, it's like a, you know, because I do Reiki, that's like one person reading the energy. This was like 25 people reading the energy of the whole group and not letting my fear of the energy coming at me distract me from what I need to do and like standing in my power as a soul, you know? So that's a whole other journey. And then, I mean, I just had a wild experience the second night because basically the first night, I told you a little bit about this, but like Mother Ayahuasca like came to me and basically said like, not in any way, like I'm fully healed, but like basically you've done enough for now. Like you're good. You can rest after tonight. Like you've done so much, like just chill. Like everything that you want is here. And I just like had channeled messages and like everything I wanted. And she basically said that was like my final purge for like a long time. However, my ego comes in the second night and I felt sick, but the medicine wasn't going to make me purge because I didn't have to. I was just going to feel a little bit sick. However, my ego wanted to get it out anyway. So I made myself throw up. Yeah. Like I'm crazy. Like I just want to get it out. I just want to like, let's just go. Let's get it. But when I realized it was another test, it wasn't mine. It was my ancestors, all of my ancestors' stuff. And I have already purged for them. So this was not my ancestors of the light. This was my ancestors who, like my darker side of my family has been like trying to control my soul for lifetimes, that I was trying to release their stuff for them and heal for them when they have to go through that. So I was shown that. That's like another lesson. I just like almost not trusting the medicine to release it for me if I needed to. Because it was like that discomfort. I was like, let's just get over with. That's not my job to do. So I learned that. Holding space for people. It's in those ceremonies, they don't want us like talking a lot and like interrupting. So it's mostly like, you know, I would play music from a distance if someone was really going through it, and I would kind of send them love and they could feel it, you know? So really just either being really annoying with the music, like to lift the energy, or like coming in with really calm. So yeah, those are some of the ways. I also would like send violet flame and like very light language and things like that, inner child energy to lift the energy and help it release. But yeah, it's the most intense, difficult work I've ever done in my life, especially playing music at the same time is like a trip.
Yeah, that's difficult. It's got to be a challenge because, especially if you do need to purge and you're flushing up like your own demons and things, and then at the same time you're trying to sound heal,
like playing my flute.
Yeah,
I
sort
never
of
threw
work
up in
with
my
the energy.
flute, so you know, that's good.
Yeah,
but it's interesting because that was what I was worried about. But the second ceremony that I did, like the first full one I did sound heal, I was like, please don't make me sick the whole time. I was like scared because the first time was awful. And I just asked her, like, please, like, don't allow me to be nauseous the whole time. I gotta hold space. Like, she knows, and that's stupid. So the medicine will work with you, you know? So it's not like I was like it, I honestly don't understand how it's possible. Like, it doesn't make me that crazy so that I can't play. Like I actually, like when I'm playing the handpan in those ceremonies, like it's my soul doing it. Like the handpan is a new instrument for me. I'm just playing so fast. I'm seeing my hands move. I'm like, how is this even possible? And I just don't think, and it's just doing it.
Yeah, channel knowledge.
Absolutely. So no, it's not like impossible to play at all. It's like a little bit difficult. I mean, it hits sometimes so hard,
Yep.
but I just started taking like smaller cups the second night. So yeah, the medicine will work with you and also just work with you on what is needed. And it's just hearing that like small voice of like, it's not time for the food. They actually just need to sit in silence right now. So yeah, it's a learning curve. I mean, it's it's almost like I've been like second grade forever with like the healing work that I do, and it's like college or like grad school right now. Like tonight we're doing it because the second night I wanted to leave. I almost went home.
Yeah.
Like my ego was like, no, I'm gonna go home. Like this is wild because we ran a day late. We started way later. I was like, no, I don't think I can do this. Like halfway through the ceremony, like it's too intense. It's going on too long. Like I'm not cut out for this. And my soul literally was like, or my heart, I was like, sit down. I'm like, nope. I'm gonna go home. Like I can't drive on that, right? Like what?
Yeah.
And my soul was like, sit down right now. They need you. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You sit down, you channel that light language that we know is coming through. You're going to do it anyway. Yeah. I'm like, damn.
That's the thing. Fine. When you're like in a ceremony as well, there's no escaping it. You can't do
I can't leave. Like, what did I think I was going to do?
Your ego will sort of fight like, to be like, okay, let's get out of this situation right now.
I want to run away.
Yeah.
Because it was just a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation, a lot of leadership that I did not think I was prepared for at all, but I did it.
But yeah, you did it, and I'm sure it helped a lot of people as well. So I've got a question with sound healing. So sound healing during ayahuasca ceremonies, would you say there's a difference? So first of all, for anyone who isn't familiar with this, so sound is a mover of energy. So often when people play instruments and sing in ceremonies, so music is an essential part of ceremonies. And the reason for that is to sort of flush stuff out. So just say if like there's a weird like stagnant energy and like things are getting like weird or awkward, someone will start playing music and it'll start flushing things out. People start throwing up. We can like
what a lovely reaction to your music around playing live.
Yeah, exactly. Instills confidence. But yeah, that's like the tempo and stuff and like the tunes and the frequencies. They really do sort of create the whole energy of the space. So would you say different instruments, so for example you've got the handpan, you've got the flute, would they work differently like for the energy? So how would you compare it? So let's use those two instruments. So when you play the handpan in a ceremony, what sort of energies do you feel? What sort of experiences do people go through?
The handpan takes someone quite a journey of like dreamy euphoria. Like a lot of times people will see images of like just like magical lands, and like it's very like they'll fall asleep. The flute can either be really intense and annoying and like happy like or it can also be very calm as well. But it's the handpan is like a richer, deeper dream state where the flute's kind of like keeps your awareness because I think it's higher. That's personally what my experience was. Like the handpan takes them this whole like journey. Like they might go astral project in that time or something like that. And it's not quite as like jarring, where the flute can be really loud and high, or low and softer. The flute's energy is a lot more like happy or annoying or intense or shrill or like fairy like inner child. Yeah, that's a really good question. I love that.
Yeah, interesting. So, like for anyone, so just say there's someone watching this, they've never really dabbled with plant medicines before. Maybe they've tried other modalities and things that maybe they've helped a little bit. Like everything does have its purpose. But someone's curious about, just say they want to jump straight into ayahuasca and start doing ceremonies. What sort of advice or suggestions would you have for these people who have never experienced this before, but they are desperate for a solution to their suffering, essentially, because they don't know what to do about it? For sure. The recommendation I have is that if you're desperate, don't turn to ayahuasca. Because my personal opinion, and this might be different for a lot of people, when you put it on a pedestal, there's danger there. So a girl that I met at the second ceremony was very depressed, had stopped all of her
depression medication, but she had never done any other inner work. So she was putting it on a pedestal and already upset during the first ceremony that she wasn't fully healed. So she kept saying over and over, like, man, I really just need this to work. I really need it to work. I'm going to be so upset if I get off this medication and it doesn't work. But for me personally, it was the last thing that I did. And I fully believe that the medicine needs to call to you. I do not recommend this medicine as a first psychedelic experience if it has not called you. And what I mean by calling you is like how I was invited, or you might hear everyone start to talk about, or you might literally feel drawn to it. This is not something personally, and this is very serious that I say this because I only speak from what I believe to be the most helpful. Many people might have other opinions. This is not a medicine that I would suggest to dive right into, because the reason for that is you're just thrown into other dimensions, to be honest. So I turned to the medicine after meditating for 10 years. And in the first ceremony, I was really seeing a lot of darkness and it was trying to pull me there. And I had to pull my consciousness out, which takes a lot of mental strength. I think that there is a possibility for it to re-traumatize you, to be honest. If you don't have the tools of integration is the biggest part. I don't believe that it's a good first step for anyone, to be honest, especially if you have never done therapy or any inner work or any introspection. Then you go straight to ayahuasca saying, oh, this will heal me, putting the medicine on a pedestal, because then there's expectations that it's going to fix everything, or it's going to be the first ceremony, or that you don't have to do all of the other inner work, because it's not a band-aid. It's not a quick journey. It's not okay, I'm just going to, especially if you do have the money and can easily afford it. That's where the gray area is for me personally. So
that's definitely a good point. Don't put it on a pedestal. So
no, because it's
you
just not going to do
see
the
the
work
steps like at the end. Yeah, like
you don't just lay there and like, okay, I'm healed.
Exactly.
It's like, no, you're gonna have to go back to another ceremony.
Yeah, and if you do put it on a pedestal, then jump in. Like often enough, either it'll flush out so much that you don't know how to handle it and deal with it because you haven't done the inner work, you haven't done the shadow work and things like that, where you're used to surrendering. So it really is a learning curve.
And I do believe the medicine is intelligent and that it's not going to do everything, but I think that's also the setup for disappointment. So an example, that lady, because she couldn't hold the medicine down, it just kept throwing it up. She couldn't even keep it down. So it's like, if you paid a lot of money and then that happens and you don't get all of the healing, you're going to be upset, and then blame it on the medicine when really maybe that's all you were ready for, right? So I do think the medicine's intelligent, is not going to like rip all of it out at the same time if you're not ready for it, which proves my first ceremony wrong, because I was ready. I was like, let's go. That's not everyone's experience. So I just think it can be dangerous jumping to that as like, this is the answer for everything. It's not going to heal you by itself. You have to also be an active participant in the journey and also be willing to face everything. Like it's not like all love and light. Like there's going to be dark stuff that you see. And if you don't want to see that, you have to have the mental strength and capacity to be able to control the thoughts. Because they tried to get me that second night. And I was like, this is not where my consciousness is. Like, it is so funny. Because those energies are there, right? And even the shaman that we worked with said, like, even when you purge, like, don't keep your head near the bucket, because that energy is still in there.
Yeah.
Well, and it'll try to get you to keep throwing up or do something else, or say, oh, you didn't. Like, it's very like, I don't know. My recommendation is really, really research, especially who you're sitting with. It is so important. And I have to say this, not all shamans are working for the light. Sorry. Yeah. It's really important to highly, 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 highly research who is doing the medicine, where they studied, who they studied with, looking at reviews, feeling into it as well. An intuition exercise that I can offer is like, you're looking at the website, right? And you want to ask your body, like, say the name of the shaman is like George, and you ask your body, put your hand on your stomach, and you say,
good shaman name.
Or maybe Jorge.
Could have been George.
Can we trust Jorge? And your stomach, if no, is going to be like, or you're going to feel like a restriction. And you have to trust like your intuition, your higher self with this. Can we trust Jorge? You ask again and you feel expansion or you feel nothing. That's a good sign. Or you want to feel into the energy of when you're looking at the website, when you're reading the reviews, when you're looking at the price point as well. You want to be like, is this worth $20,000 or is the real price like $2,000? Why is there a gap? So you also want to be mindful about how expensive it is. why it's that expensive. Is there integration? Integration is the most important part of the ceremony, not the ceremony. Because if you do go through a rough experience and then you come out of it and you don't have any tools, you don't have anyone to talk to, and then fear comes up and you could literally go psychotic.
Yeah, for sure. I've met someone who was sort of broken by it. So first to add to that, definitely a good point, and thanks for sharing that. So for example, if you're seeking the medicine and you are in Latin America, you might not have access to reviews. Like, you won't really know who someone is. Like, a lot of people will pose as shamans. You might be in the middle of nowhere in the jungle with people. So as you're saying, really tap into your intuition. So just get a feel for them, because you might not have any other social proofing besides just a feel for them.
That's crazy. How would you recommend testing the feel for them? How do you test that?
So I'm generally quite intuitive. So,
well, for someone who isn't or doesn't know that they are yet.
So how I would feel it is just have a conversation with them first. So feel them out in terms of just, are they generally friendly? Do they seem like they're healed? Like, are they good to have a conversation? Do
you feel better when you talk to them?
Yeah, exactly. Do you feel better when you talk to them? Or like just normal sort of things with socializing, right? So you can tell when there's red flags, green flags with people. So if someone sort of has something to hide, often you pick it up. You can tell through the body language. You can tell through, like, even the way they look at you. Just little things you need to pay attention to.
Sometimes, but sometimes it's hard as well.
Absolutely.
Some other red flags would be if they don't offer payment plans. The people I sit with, it is an investment, but they offer payment plans because they literally want to help people, right? So if it's like $4,000 ceremony, it's like paid in full only. It's like people need healing for a reason, some of that being financial blocks. So I think it's a red flag personally if there's no payment plans. I also think it's a red flag if they try to push you to the ceremony. So for example, how I was invited was like, hey, if you're available, here it is. Not like, hey, you need to do this. The medicine's calling you. You need to do it. You need to do it. You need to do this. I think you're being called to this. It's like, whoa. Let me check in. Let me check in. Why are you trying to give me sign up?
That's always a red flag. If someone's trying to convince you to like take it, that's never a good sign. It should be completely based on your own free will, and they should respect
any healing work, any healer, any coach, if they're ever trying to push you to sign up, this is a red flag.
Definitely.
Anyone that talks about themselves more than they talk about you, if you have a call with them or want to learn about the medicine, they're like, oh, well, I did this and I've healed this and I did. Red flag.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some other red flags?
With the payment plan, though, so like when I've done ayahuasca, it's just been cash in hand. I didn't have any infrastructure. I'm saying if
it's like over $2,000, that's a decent chunk of money to have.
Yeah, for sure. And that's quite a lot of money. And like if you're doing it in the United States, you will often have that sort of infrastructure, and it will be like a setup sort of thing. In a lot of countries, you don't have any of that, so you don't have the social proofing. You don't have there's nothing. They don't have websites or anything. It's just like you find someone and they take you into the jungle and you do some ceremonies with them. So it's like in those sort of situations. So if you are in like the United States or a place where like just say a developed country or even parts of Latin America or certain cities or whatever, they will have infrastructure. A lot of people will take sort of payments by card or whatever, like depending where you are, as long as you're not too remote. But there are also places sort of like in the Amazon and stuff where it's just everything's just tended by cash.
Sense. Or, another good thing is like, even if you get to the ceremony, you've already paid, you show up, it feels weird, go home immediately. Like, who cares what you paid? Who cares if you're already there? Go home. Something doesn't feel right. Something's weird. Go home.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think that they can handle the energy of the medicine and dozens of people, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
and sometimes things can attach. So you really, really, really have to have a good shaman who has actually studied with people in the jungle for like many years, ideally, and has done many ceremonies. The people I sit with, it's like 150 ceremonies, like trained in the jungle with like legit shamans, have been studying and are humble. Like, that's what you want to look for. There was another thing I was going to say about the red flag. Oh, like integration. If there's like no talk of integration or cleansing ceremony, huge red flag. And there should also be a screening process. It shouldn't just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to sign up. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, there should be some sort of a screening process. Sure. If you're especially if you are on medications, if you have illnesses, because there are contraindications that people have died, not because of the medicine, but because they didn't check in to see what they had.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a huge deal.
So that's the thing. They should get to know you as much as you get to know them. So back to your point before of like them being like the sort of hassling salesman. It's like, oh, you want to take this? This is the cheapest one around here. Like that's definitely a red flag because if it is a authentic shaman who takes this work seriously and works with these energies, they want to know that you're not going to fuck up your life by taking this energy. Taking this
for sure, because then they're like that's they're responsible a little bit too. It's
exactly.
Like you have to have those tools.
Yeah, you do, and so definitely like anyone who's seeking it out, just be a bit careful about it. Don't be too gung ho about sort of I'm just going to jump into this.
Yeah, it's not an easy journey.
It is the warrior's path for a reason, and it is difficult. And I have met people in Iquitos, Peru. Well, a person who, long story short, so wasn't with proper shamans, brought up a bunch of early life aggressions of him being raped. And he's like had a lot of tension. He's never really done things like done the inner work and stuff. He couldn't handle it at psychotic snap. He was like he had to be cared for like years afterwards.
That's really sad.
So it's like be careful if you do have mental illnesses and things like that. Like do be cautious with that. Really make sure you know the shaman, make sure you trust him, talk to them about it, and like if they're authentic, they will talk to you about this and make sure that you are good to go. And they will sort of get a feel for your energy and everything and where you are and along your own healing journey as well.
Sure, absolutely. And make sure that you have resources afterwards, So yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is I would not suggest it as a first step, especially like if you've never done mushrooms or like anything. I don't recommend it. I mean, some people can do that. I personally think it's really intense to dive into that, especially if you don't ever meditate. Like you're going to be thrown into everything. Like, so yeah, my biggest recommendation is like, take your time. It is not some quick fix that like, okay, let me just throw the money and go do this. Like you want to really feel this out and think it out and make sure, because I do believe that it is a beautiful healing journey. I don't believe it's for everyone though. No. I think that there's many, many paths to healing. Personally, me as a healer and you, like we do have to do this deep, deep shadow work so that we can help others, right? Yeah. I don't believe that everyone has to do this medicine. I don't think everyone has the same level of deep trauma. I do suggest it for people who have experienced sexual assault, especially molestation as a child, because that's when those darker energies can attach. Addiction, alcohol, all those sorts of things. Those are the people that really... Of course, you can use other healing modalities, but those are the most serious ones that it's going to take a lot longer if you don't use a serious medicine like that. So personally, I do recommend it mostly for those people. If you're dealing with like light anxiety, light depression, like mild things, it's not really necessary. However, it can be a beautiful medicine, even if your intention is not like deep, deep shadow work and you've kind of done that, then it's like, oh my God, we're talking about aliens.
Curiosity,
like,
for sure. Like,
what's that?
Out of curiosity, that's
sure, and it's a beautiful medicine.
As long as the intention's correct. Like,
absolutely.
Like if you really just want to get deeper into your own, absolutely. If you want to get deeper into your own sort of spiritual journey and things like that, like it is a great medicine to really explore sort of what's out there, because it does connect you to another dimensional plane. Like it is many, like it's the real deal. It's not just your mind going haywire. It's
Let's
actually
talk about
you
our
are connecting to
coolest like dimensional connections in the medicine. Maybe just like a short thing, because I'm curious of yours. I'll have to think what mine is. No, I know it just happened this weekend.
So yeah, like I've had a few experiences. So I've seen angels under the medicine. That's right. Yeah, doctores, which are these sort of like little wispy things. So
from what is the movie? Oh, Avatar.
I think so. Yes. Like Avatar 2, you said, or Avatar 1.
Avatar 1. When
those like little seed things.
Yes, when he gets something was wrong. She literally says doctoris. It's from the seed of the tree it's the purest spirits, and they come and heal him and land on him.
Maybe there's a connection there. But
maybe it's the same thing. They look the same. They're like little wisps. They go like this.
Oh, it's like an orb sort of thing, just like a sparkly orb. At least, what I saw. And there's like a lot of them that went through my body, and when they like went through everything, that's when some angels appeared.
I never saw that, but that's dope.
Yeah, I've also seen like this really tall, like maybe 7-foot person standing behind me. So I thought it was a real person at first, and I turned around. Yeah, like the outline. So this was in a Temazcal, so it's like a sweat lodge, so it's pitch black.
I've
It's
done
super
sweat
hot.
lodges, yeah.
Yeah, so we took ayahuasca and San Pedro during that sweat lodge.
In a
And,
sweat lodge?
yeah, I guess really.
What?
This was a rebirth experience. And
Yeah.
I noticed there was someone standing behind me, and I thought it was just a person standing up until I realized there's a brick wall behind my back. And I'm like, wait a second. Turned around and yeah, like just saw the silhouette of this super like tall as a masculine figure. So it's like just this super tall guy with like space inside him. They sort of just vanished when I looked at him.
What do you think that was? Do you think it was like
I'm
guy?
almost thinking Palladian or something like that.
Yeah?
Like some of the things you can't even really describe because it's just like completely out of this world. What about yourself?
I think recently, this past weekend, the second ceremony. So most of it has been like just like deep internal work the whole time. But the second ceremony at the end, I think I told you this. I finally saw like a being, like a beautiful being in the bathroom. This like elven Pleiadian guy, like right in front of my face, like this, like kind of looked like what's his name, Legolas or something from Lord of the Rings, the blonde elf guy. He looked like
Legolas.
him. Legolas, yeah, he looked like him, and he was like right here. I was like, hi. Yeah. Like I've never seen a spirit that clear with my eyes closed. It was really, really cool, but I was like thrown up in the toilet, so I wasn't able to communicate with him. Yeah. And then this past ceremony this weekend was like the most beautiful visuals I've ever seen. Like I felt Mother Ayahuasca come to me. And then after that, I was, just like, I didn't go as deep. I felt like resistance to like keeping my eyes closed because I knew I was about to like leave my body and I didn't feel safe to do that yet. But like just colors everywhere in abundance and like beautiful, just like the most beautiful dream, but like right there, it way more powerful than any mushroom ceremony I've ever done. But what happened after my final purge was I started connecting with, my Pleiadian star family, which I have connected with before, but not this clear. Like it was like a direct walkie-talkie communication, and they were like, everything you want is here right now, like write this down. I was just channeling like pages and pages so fast, automatic writing of like every download of my business that I've been asking for, like just directly channeled now. So it's like it cleared up the rest, and of course I'm sure I still have more shit, but the biggest blocks to connecting fully with my higher self, with my angels, with my dad, with my ancestors, like it's a direct communication now, and it was beautiful, and just so many divine downloads and visuals, and it was just magical.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a learning curve as well. So the more ceremonies you do, the deeper you get into that, and the more you see and the more clear these things become, and the more you learn how to communicate with them, things like that. So it's definitely a learning curve to it as well. But in saying that, we should start wrapping up. So anything else that you want to contribute or add to this, or any questions you think someone might be asking watching this before we wrap up?
I think some people have questions about like, am I always going to throw up? Like, is that necessary? I would say no, and it's different for everyone. I think that's a big resistance that people have. So what I can say about the purging is that it actually feels amazing to get it out, because this is not just like the medicine going in your body and like you throwing it up. This is like energies from lifetimes and ancestral stuff. So you literally will physically feel lighter because it's in your body, and it's not only in your physical body, it's in your energetic body, it's around your soul, it's around everything. So like you will feel better. And I know a lot of people have fear around throwing up. I don't know why, but obviously it's not like super fun, but it's
not comfortable, but it's worth it. It's
and it feels better. And so it's a small price to pay. And what they kept saying in the ceremony was the purging is the price, the karmic debt to pay for the healing. So it's miserable, and like especially my first ceremony, I've never been that sick. Like I thought I was gonna die. I literally thought I was gonna die because I was just so sick, like shivering, cold, throwing up, like just disgusting. The sickest I've ever been. But it is so worth it, and that's in your body anyway, so you're getting it out, and that could take 30 years of therapy to do. So it is a shorter shortcut, but it's also not a band-aid or something to skip the inner work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I recommend the medicine if you do a lot of research and really feel called to it and feel ready and are ready to face everything. The other ways to do deep internal work is I really recommend like somatic therapy, breath work. Breath work can be almost as powerful as ayahuasca. So especially if you go to like a breathwork event, like 2 to 3 hours, like you don't need plant medicine. That's the other thing that I think needs to be said. It's like, it's not the only way. And we've kind of said that there are other ways. And I do think breath work is another way that is almost deeply as profound, especially if you go like once a month. It can be really, really beneficial because it's also doing the same thing of releasing from your body. You're not going to be purging as much, but you can. Like the breathwork event I went to last month, like we were screaming just like an exorcism in ayahuasca for the breath. So our breath is always there, you know. Yeah, so those are kind of like the best recommendations I have for that. Really just feeling it and holding space for the past versions of you that experienced those things, and working with someone, to be honest, because I mean, yeah, I did most of this like kind of all on my own, which I needed to be a healer to be able to help people, but I did have resources. But I do recommend working with someone who's been through it, because it is hard. It's hard work, like especially when you're alone. You're like, is this ever going to end? Like, is the suffering ever going to end? So you want to see someone who's been through it, who proved that they could heal themselves and that you can too.
Yeah. And saying that, absolutely rewarding as well. But it's definitely like it can be a very difficult path to go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Liria, where can people find you if they want to hit you up about healing services and things like that, and the work that you do?
So my podcast is Woo Woo Babe. And then Instagram is Liria Rose with an underscore. So Liria_Rose, and you'll put it in the show notes too. TikTok, Liria.Rose. I also have YouTube. I also have all my music on Spotify that we'll link. What else do I have? Yeah, we'll link like my website and all that. So I do a few in-person sessions here in South Austin. Those are a little bit limited. And then I also do remote work on pretty much anything. So inner child healing, I can see past lives, I can talk to your guides, I can channel a lot of things, manifestation, all of that kind of combined. I do kind of get really deep into the core of like what is going on. So you have to be ready to hear it. Obviously, it's always like loving as well. So yeah, those are kind of the ways to work with me right now.
But yeah, otherwise, thank you very much, Liria, and thanks for your time and discussing all this sort of ayahuasca and healing work.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. Connect with us.